You're sitting alone. The silence is louder than ever. 2 days since her last message, and your phone hasn't lit up once. You replay everything. Her smile, the way she lingered just a second longer, the softness in her eyes like she meant it. So, why the silence now? Your mind screams she's losing interest, but your gut knows it's deeper than that. Because what if this silence isn't rejection, but a test? What if she's not pulling away to leave you, but to see you, to feel whether the strength she sensed in you was real, or just a mask that fades the moment she steps back? Let me be clear, this video isn't about playing games. It's not about manipulation. It's about emotional leadership, becoming the kind of man who doesn't chase, but rises. That phrase right there, I rise, not chase. Let it anchor you. Let it become your code. Because today, we're not asking how to get her back. We're asking how to get yourself back, your center, your presence, your power. And if you've ever wondered why she's pulling away when it felt like she cared, this video was made for you. Part 1. Her silence is a test of strength. Let me tell you something most men never learn until it's too late. A woman's silence isn't random. It's rarely because she's busy. It's rarely because she just forgot to text back. No. When a woman goes quiet, it's almost always deliberate, subtle, emotional, powerful. It's a move that speaks louder than any confrontation ever could. And here's the part that hits. She feels everything, even the things you think you've hidden. She feels the slight shift in your energy when you become unsure of yourself. She senses the tension behind your smile when you're pretending you're okay, but secretly craving her attention. She notices when your texts start coming faster, when your tone shifts from confident to seeking validation. You think she's losing interest. You think you did something wrong. You panic. You analyze. You replay the last conversation on a loop like a movie you're trying to decode. You scroll back through your messages, searching for the exact moment it all shifted. You wonder if you were too vulnerable, too honest, too eager. But here's the truth. This isn't about one wrong word. It's about the energy underneath it. Because women don't just hear your words. They feel your state. They feel your neediness. They feel your fear. They feel the void you try to fill by clinging tighter. And when they sense that shift, they don't confront you. They withdraw. Silently, subtly, intentionally. Not to punish you, but to see what you'll do. Will you react like every other man, panicking, double texting, trying to prove your worth, or will you pause, center yourself, and hold the line? That's the test. Not of love, but of inner strength. Because the men who pass this test aren't the ones who chase. They're the ones who stay still, who stay grounded, who know that a woman's silence is often just a mirror, reflecting back your own insecurities. And that mirror, it's not meant to hurt you. It's meant to wake you up, to show you where you're still leaking power, where you're still needing external validation instead of being rooted in your own worth. This is your edge, the moment where boys break and men build presence. If you can resist the urge to chase, if you can sit in the silence without folding, she'll feel it. She won't say it, but she'll feel the shift. She'll feel the weight of your presence even when you say nothing. And that's what separates men who beg to be seen from men who become undeniable. Part 2. Power begins in the pause. Most men think power is action, quick replies, fixing things, making it right. But here's the paradox. Real power begins in the pause, in that uncomfortable moment when you want to reach out, but don't. When your ego screams, say something, do something, win her back. But your deeper self stays silent, still, strong. Because that pause, it's not emptiness, it's energy. The pause is where your masculine presence is built, not by chasing, but by choosing stillness. You see, silence is not weakness when it comes from grounded strength. It's a message. It says, I won't betray my peace to prove my worth. I know what I bring. I'm not afraid to lose someone who needs me to break myself just to be loved. That kind of silence. It doesn't just speak. It echoes. She feels it in the space between texts, in the stillness of your absence, in the confidence you radiate when you're no longer trying to convince her of anything. And the wild thing. That silence, when rooted in strength, is more attractive than any clever line, perfect comeback, or last-ditch confession, because it shows her you're not reacting, you're responding, from power, from clarity, from choice. And in a world full of men who crumble under pressure, who fold at the first sign of distance, you become rare, and what is rare becomes valuable. So next time she pulls back, don't chase. Don't explain. Don't perform. Pause. Breathe. Feel everything you want to say. And say nothing. Let the silence shape you. Let it rebuild your gravity. Because the man who learns to stand still in the storm becomes the storm. Part 3. Why presence beats words every time. Let's get something straight. A woman doesn't fall for your words. She falls for your energy, your tone, your timing, your presence. That's why sometimes you can say all the right things and still lose her, because your words may be sweet, but your presence feels shaky. You might be texting her consistently, but your energy reeks of anxiety, of trying too hard, of needing something back. And here's what most men miss. A high-value woman doesn't just listen to what you say. She feels what you are when you say it. If your energy is desperate, she'll retreat. If your vibe is ungrounded, she'll test you. If your attention is all on her, she'll wonder, does this man even have a mission beyond me? That's why presence will always beat performance. Because presence doesn't seek. It doesn't push. It doesn't prove. Presence is quiet confidence. It's when you walk into a room and don't need anyone to notice, but they do. It's when you listen more than you speak, when your silence holds weight, when your stillness feels stronger than another man's noise. And when a woman feels that kind of presence, she leans in, not because you chased, but because you became magnetic. So if you're stuck in your head wondering what to say next, how to fix the silence, stop. Because the answer isn't in your next message. It's in your next moment of stillness. Stop over-communicating. Stop explaining. Start embodying. Be the man who doesn't need to be heard, to be felt. That's the difference. That's the shift. And once you unlock that, you'll never fear silence again. Part 4. Stop proving. Start becoming. One of the biggest traps men fall into is trying to prove their worth. Prove you're good enough. Prove you're loyal. Prove you care. Prove you're the one. And every time you try to prove yourself, you lose a little power. Because proving is rooted in doubt. You're trying to convince her of something you haven't fully claimed in yourself. And women feel that. Even when your words say, I'm confident, your energy says, please pick me. So let me flip the script for you. You don't prove your worth. You become your worth. That means you stop over-explaining. You stop performing. You stop hoping she'll see your value when you haven't truly lived it yet. Instead, you go inward. You build. You evolve. You become the kind of man whose life speaks for itself. A man who doesn't need approval. Because his mission is louder than his ego. A man who doesn't need to chase. Because he's building something greater than a temporary connection. And that shift, it's not loud. It's not dramatic, but it's felt. Suddenly, your energy changes. You're not reacting, you're responding, you're not seeking, you're selecting. And when that happens, everything about your dynamic with women changes. She may not say it out loud, but she'll feel the shift. She'll sense that you're no longer trying to win her. You're becoming someone who doesn't need to. And that's when the power returns. Part 5. Your energy trains her behavior. Here's a truth most men overlook. You train people how to treat you not by what you say, but by what you tolerate. When you chase after being ignored, you teach her. My attention is free. My standards are flexible. My self-respect is negotiable. When you respond to disrespect with more effort, you teach her. You can pull away and I'll pull harder. You can treat me like an option and I'll still prove I'm worthy. But when you pause, when you step back, when you refuse to reward distance with desperation, you retrain the entire dynamic. Because here's what most guys miss. A high-value man doesn't react. He adjusts. He doesn't beg for better behavior. He simply creates space where disrespect can't survive. He doesn't say, "Please treat me right." He shows what happens when you don't. That silence, that pause, that detachment, it sends a message louder than any argument. It says, I don't do confusion. I don't chase breadcrumbs. I don't cling to someone who's unsure about me. And over time, she learns. Not because you demanded it, but because you demonstrated it. She starts to feel that you're not waiting on her, that you've moved from hoping she sees your worth to living it without apology. That's when her curiosity kicks in. That's when the energy shifts. That's when she starts to feel your absence. Not as punishment, but as power. Part 6. Her tests are not the problem. Your response is a lot of men get angry when a woman tests them. They say things like, she's playing games, she's being manipulative, she's wasting my time. But let's be honest, testing is human nature, especially in relationships. It's how people gauge your strength, your consistency, your self-respect. The test isn't the problem. Your response is, because a woman will pull back sometimes. She'll act distant. She'll challenge your boundaries. She'll go quiet just to see how deeply rooted you are in yourself. Not because she wants to break you, but because she wants to feel you. Not your words, not your promises, but your core. And when you react with panic, when you send that anxious just checking in text, when you ask if she's mad, you fail the test. Because now she knows you're not grounded. You're not centered. You're still emotionally dependent on her response to feel whole. But when you stay calm, when you feel the urge to chase and instead, you stay still, that's when she feels something different. A quiet strength. A presence that doesn't collapse just because her attention shifted. And whether she admits it or not, that's what she's looking for. Not perfection, not control, but stability. Emotional leadership. A man who doesn't need her behavior to validate his worth. So next time you feel tested, smile inwardly. Because it's not an attack. It's an invitation to rise. Part 7. Don't break the frame. Hold it when a woman pulls back. Most men break the frame. They abandon their composure. They start chasing, explaining, overthinking, trying to fix the connection. But what they don't realize is this: the frame you hold is the attraction she feels. And when you drop that frame just because her energy shifted, you reveal something dangerous, that your confidence was conditional, that your power was only real when she was validating it. True strength. It doesn't flinch under pressure. It doesn't need approval to stay grounded. Let me be clear, you don't hold the frame by being cold or pretending you don't care. That's insecurity in disguise. You hold the frame by being unmoved in your presence, by trusting your value even when it's not immediately recognized, by standing firm, not in arrogance, but in centered, calm certainty. Because when a woman pulls away, she's watching something far more important than your next move. She's watching your foundation. Does it crack under silence? Does it shake when you're not in control? Or does it remain still, grounded, unshaken? That's the test. And here's the part. Most men never learn. The moment you break the frame to win her back, you've already lost her respect. But when you hold the frame, when you let her come and go without chasing or collapsing, you create polarity. You create tension. You create the space where true desire lives. So don't flinch. Don't fold. Don't chase after shifting emotions. Stand in who you are. Let your grounded energy be louder than any desperate words. That's what she remembers. That's what she respects. And ultimately, that's what draws her back. Part 8. The shift happens when you let go. Here's the truth that stings. As long as you're trying to get her back, she holds the power. Even if you're silent, even if you say nothing, if your silence is a strategy to win her attention, she'll feel it. And it won't pull her closer. It'll push her away. Because true detachment isn't pretending you've let go. It's actually letting go. Letting go of the need for closure, the need for validation, the need to be seen, heard, or chosen. And I get it. That's hard. Especially when you care deeply, when you showed up fully, when you gave your best. But here's where transformation begins. When you realize her silence isn't something to decode, it's something to be freed by. Because once you let go of the outcome, you take your power back. Suddenly, you're not waiting anymore. You're not checking your phone. You're not stuck in limbo. You're moving, building, sharpening, living. And that shift, it's magnetic. Not because you're trying to attract her, but because you've outgrown the need to. You stop asking, "What is she thinking?" and start asking, "What am I becoming?" And just like that, everything changes. You stop operating from scarcity and step into abundance. You stop reacting to her and start creating you. And whether she comes back or not, you win. Because you're no longer fighting for attention. You're commanding respect. Not through words, not through games, but through growth. That's the real power. And that's where you become untouchable. Part 9. The man she remembers isn't the one who chased. Let me tell you something that might hurt. She won't remember the man who texted 3 times when she went cold. She won't remember the guy who poured his heart out when she needed space. She won't remember the one who tried to convince her to stay. But she will remember the one who didn't flinch, the one who didn't chase, the one who didn't beg, the one who held his frame when she tried to knock it over. She'll remember the man who made her feel something without saying a word, because that kind of presence, that kind of emotional discipline, it's rare. And rare gets remembered. Not the loudest man, not the most romantic one, the most grounded one. The man who didn't try to win her, because he was already won over by his own purpose. That's the paradox. You stop chasing. You stop performing. You stop needing. And suddenly, you become unforgettable. Not because of what you said, but because of what you withheld. Because while other men were talking, you were listening. While they were reacting, you were reflecting. While they were begging, you were becoming. And in a world full of noise, stillness becomes unforgettable. So if she ever circles back, it won't be because you chased. It'll be because you rose and she felt the silence you left behind. Part 10. This is the man she can't replace. You want to know the kind of man she can't forget, the one she compares others to, the one that lingers in her mind long after the texts stop and the silence settles. It's not the man who tried to impress her, not the man who bent over backwards, not the man who gave her the world before he gave it to himself. It's the man who mastered himself first, who stood tall in uncertainty, who walked away not out of ego but out of clarity. The man who didn't try to change her, because he was too busy evolving himself. He had depth, direction, discipline. His attention was rare, his time was earned, and his silence was sacred. That's the man who leaves a mark. Not because he tried to be unforgettable, but because he was too focused on becoming undeniable. And you can be that man. If you stop chasing comfort, if you stop looking for shortcuts, if you stop living for her attention and start living by your standards, because in the end, the man who wins isn't the one she chooses. It's the one who chooses himself fully, fearlessly, finally. Let me leave you with this. You don't rise by reacting. You rise by remembering who the hell you are. Silence is not just the absence of noise, it's the presence of power. And when that power is anchored in purpose, You stop trying to prove your worth and start living it. She may come back. She may not. But that was never the point. This was never about her. It was about the man you become when you stop chasing love and start respecting yourself. Because once you master stillness, once you stop folding under pressure, once your silence speaks louder than her games, you become the one she can't read, the one she can't control, the one she remembers, long after she forgets your name. So let them wonder. Let them feel the absence. Let your presence echo in every room you've exited quietly. You don't need to say a word. Your growth is the closure. Your power is the message. And your silence, it says everything.